party. It's like, oh fuck, it's my party.
Yeah, it takes a while for we take a while to start releasing so that we have like 3 or 4 saved up, and then we start. Then we start. That way we don't have to be like, oh shit, we need to record.
Yeah, no, that's the way you do it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, unless you're doing something like this.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't do that.
I keep thinking, I talk too much.
Do you?
Yeah.
All right.
Like while I'm editing it, I realize, God damn, I talk way too much.
What, that one or this one?
Honestly, both of them.
I mean, you talk a lot in this one because we make a concerted effort to not let Brian talk.
Yeah.
I want Brian to talk.
You want Brian to talk?
I want to talk.
You sure you want Brian to talk?
People to talk.
All right.
Everyone talk.
Yeah, because I'm just going to be like, I fucking hate all these people and stuff.
Or I'm fucking racist. It's the other thing you say a lot.
Yeah.
Not racist, racially ignorant. That's all.
Yeah. Brian's colorblind.
Mm-hmm.
Let me fix my typos.
I'm like, that would be good, but okay.
What, to be colorblind?
Yeah. When you're saying it like that, that's a positive.
Well,
it depends on the current discourse.
The like it's good for individual people to be colorblind, but people who are colorblind need to recognize the fact that a whole hell of a lot of other people aren't colorblind. And so when someone who is of color talks about colorism or racism, we got to be like, yeah, that sucks. That's all we got to say. That sucks, man. I'm here for you.
I don't know. It's changed with time in the zeitgeist, whether or not colorblindness is a good thing. Even from like a super liberal perspective, right? Like sometimes you want to be colorblind because then you're like, I don't see color. I just treat everybody the same because that's the way we should be. But then the other times it's like, well, the current zeitgeist says you shouldn't be colorblind. You should recognize the differences between individuals, celebrate their culture, and you know what I mean? Like, just sometimes the zeitgeist leans towards melting pot and assimilation, but not assimilation. Yeah, like.
Well, like the thing of it is that celebrating the differences and similarities and whatnot, that's not, or that is also, that's a part of being colorblind. Like you know what I mean? Like how do I put it? Because when we think about quote unquote white culture, that's a fabrication of reality. There is no white culture. There's Irish culture. There's German culture. There's American culture. There's Canadian culture. But there is no like point on the map to the country of white. So that's like, so what we think of as American, you know what I mean? Like we were like, oh, it is actually an amalgamation of other distinct and unique cultures. So you don't have to to be colorblind. You don't have to ignore or erase differences. You just have to not allow your preconceived notions to be what you use to make your decisions.
Brian, are you annoyed yet, or should we talk about race some more?
How'd you do in Magic?
Oh, awful! I put no effort into making that deck, so I did better than I was expecting. But I'm thinking like, well, but that's just because they knew I wasn't a threat and they just left me alone for longer.
Yeah.
But damn it, I don't know what the hell it is. No matter how I make a deck, or what kind of deck it is, or how much goddamn land I have in there, I never draw any.
Yeah. That's the one thing, like, okay, Magic is a fine game. I'm not a hater. But, like, maybe not every, but almost all, actually, yeah, I think of it, all the games that I've really enjoyed more than Magic have had no possibility of running out of land. Like Versus, you could put any card into your resource row. Some were better they were all equal in terms of what resources they provided. but some could be used as instants and interrupts, and then some were characters and they were just dead cards. But at least you would never be like, oh yeah, I can't play a land this turn.
The Warcraft game was like that too. The Warcraft card game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Warcraft. They were both made by the same by Upper Deck, so yeah, that was.
Man, even Redekai. It's a much simpler game, but I don't remember what the resource was called. But you just get one more every turn.
What game?
Redekai.
Never played it. Never heard of it.
Oh well, there's a cartoon and everything.
No. Like,
or an anime, whatever it is.
Way back in the day, I played Deadlands. Deadlands was a really good game. I'm sorry, Doomtown, which is based off of the Deadlands RPG. Doomtown, you had cash as your resource, and you used that to buy buildings and buy characters. And some characters usually had an upkeep cost, and buildings usually gave you some amount of money or whatever. And that was your resource. You wouldn't be screwed. Also, it had a really neat mechanic where each turn you randomized initiative by playing lowball poker using your deck. Like, a really neat aspect of the game was that every card had a poker value on it, and you could put whatever you wanted in your deck. There was no limitation, like you can only have 4 kings and they have to be different suits. Nothing like that. It was just you could put whatever you wanted in your deck. But if you played at any point during the game, like if you needed to see who won in combat, for instance, you would draw a poker hand, and you would look at the suits and whatever, and whoever won. But also, like, if you drew 2 of the same cards, so 2 cards with like the King of Clubs value, that was a legal hand. It was just considered in rules. That hand would have the cheating keyword. So if you were cheating, then your opponent could play reactions in their hand that would trigger off of your cheating. And so cheating helped you win, but sometimes eventually they ended up screwing up the game where they created a card where if you cheated, you discarded your entire hand and drew 5 new cards for your poker hand. And if that was cheating, you had to like discard a card in play and do it again. And so if you had a deck that was based on cheating, you would just cheat yourself into oblivion, and so it became pointless. But anyway, regardless, it was a good game. It was an interesting version because it was essentially chess. Like, newbie players would be like, yeah, I'm going to build up a good posse, and then I'm going to go gun down all your dudes, and then I'm going to win. But like advanced players would be like, yeah, there's not going to be I'm going to build all these dudes and everything, but there's not going to be a single gunfight, because when you move to attack me, I'm going to move to get away, and then you can basically, each character can only move once per turn by default. So it was a really interesting chess game. Yeah. That's the other one that I played that was had no resources back in the day. Man, I played. Oh yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Star Trek, Star Wars.
The old Warhammer, Warhammer 40K CCG was really great because you had 5 locations, and then each deck had a faction, and the faction told you how many cards you could put into play at the start of each turn, and then like each player grabbed 6 cards off their deck, put them into play, and then you fought using that, and like each card had an effect when it was in play, an effect when it was in your battle hand that you could play it for, and then also anytime you needed to randomize something, you needed to roll a die, and to roll a die, you flipped the top card off your deck, and it had a die number on it. So like a really good card in play, like one of the best cards I had was a Reaver Titan. It would basically just very slowly destroy every single thing your opponent had in play. It would take a couple actions to do, but it would eventually get there. And in your hand, at the end, if it was in your hand, it was worthless. At the end, in fact, it would actually make you more likely to lose the battle if it was in your hand. And then when you were rolling dice, it had a die value of 1, so you would almost always fail whatever you were trying to roll if it was in there. But if it was in play, it was great. And likewise, there were cards that had great command hand blinds. That's like what it was when it was in your hand and you were playing it to affect the battle. And they had great dice roll, but like in play, they were just trash. That was a fun game. I spent way too much money on that game, just like the real 40K.
That's what 40K does. I mean, because
Yeah.
not only as not only does primary 40K expensive, but like 40K is willing to license out their property to anyone who wants it. So there is all manner of 40K game, 40K card game, 40K books, 40K this, 40K that. So like if you're a 40K fan, there's no shortage of ways to spend your money.
Yeah. But
It's like being a
ever
Star Wars
since they
fan these
sold,
days.
it's like being like, oh yeah, Star Wars, yeah. Oh man,
Not a card
hobbies.
game though. There's still not a Star Wars card game.
Well,
Surprising.
I'm sure there is.
not a new one.
Yeah, I mean, people are still supporting the old one.
And also there was that Jedi,
Young Jedi.
Young Jedi. That's what it was called. Yeah,
But that
wasn't a good game.
That was a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the new version of the CCG one.
Yeah.
Was it?
I played that like once or twice. It was all right. I couldn't quite understand it, but it was fine.
Oh, it came out in May 1999, and the last set came out in September 2001. So I was only around for 2 years.
23 years ago since they've had a Star Wars CCG. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
They've had some other Star Wars games. X-Wing's really good, but it can get overly complicated.
Epic Power Duels is still one of the best like board games that I played. Epic Power Duels is a lot like Street Fighter, the miniatures game.
Hold on, there's a Star
Except-
Wars living card game. What is it called?
It's a lot like Power Duel, or I'm sorry, the Street Fighter game, except completely unbalanced. Like if you're playing Boba Fett and Greedo, congratulations, you lost. If you're playing, oddly enough, if you're playing Obi-Wan, congratulations, you won, unless you're playing against Yoda, in which case you lost. But if you're playing Yoda against Yoda's like a C tier character. He just happens to match up really, really well against S tier Obi-Wan. Other games.
Star Wars, the card game was a living card game by Fantasy Flight Games, and that they had their last one in 2018. That's not too bad.
They probably released that alongside Rebel Assault.
Yeah, and there's the dice game. Yeah, it's not that there's a shortage of game options. There's just not a lot of good card game ones right now.
There's no Sabak though, so fuck that.
There's no fucking Star Trek, man. Star Trek Star Trek will license all kinds of stuff, but they will not do gaming stuff. The last Star Trek thing I remember is Star Trek HeroClix, which I have a lot of.
I have a Star Trek deck builder. It's not bad.
Oh no, isn't there like a Star Trek Armada?
Oh
Like
yeah,
Star Wars
that game
Armada,
was
but
pretty
the Star
good
Trek
actually.
one? I don't know what it's called.
Probably, but
Tabletop,
if you're playing Star Trek as a combat game, congratulations on missing the point of Star Trek.
Unless you really like Deep Space Nine.
But even at that, like, I don't know.
It's the whole universe, and if you want to play in the universe to do battles, that happens too. Battles happen.
Yeah, but it's not really about, like, even when you got right down to it, like, Deep Space Nine wasn't about the Dominion War. It was about the life of those people. Anyway, shall we get on to Survivor?
Sure. You gonna read today?
Yeah.
No. I already said I talk too much.
Brian doesn't talk enough, so Brian should be the one doing the intros.
Whoops. Where is it?
I even went through and fixed a couple of typos. For instance, where it
Yes, I
said
should go to the thing, huh?
where it said "vitted out" instead of "voted out," and then
With the
one
Beatles?
point where I misspelled inordinate. I put an N in there as an inordinate. I put three N's in there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The good thing
Well,
too,
yeah.
because if I'm reading it, I will read the typos. So
You know, Ron Burgundy, this shit. Let's go.
yeah. Like that time I made you say, "My name is Andy, and I'm the biggest idiot ever,"
Fuck
which
yeah.
is yeah.
I saw that, but I
Anyway,
don't care. We're doing it.
Rah, let's try to start. Trying to get started. No more foreplay. Let's get straight to fucking. Welcome to Outwit, Outplay, Outcast, Survivor podcast on the Night of Living Geeks Network. This is your host, Nick, and we're going to be talking about Season 46, Episode 11, which, don't tell me what it was titled. I know it off the top of my head. My Messy Little Friend. Did I get it right?
Close, so close.
My Messy Sweet Little Friend. I knew there was another word, but I couldn't quite remember it. Anyway, yeah, I'm the host, Nick, and then the one who told me that I am close, that is Andy, and then the one who belched, and I'm whatever. No one listens to us. I'm gonna leave it in there. That is Brian.
Yeah, no, that was also Andy.
Oh, well, whatever. I just assumed it was you.
Makes
Then
sense.
the one doing our Torah portion today, that is Brian.
What?
You're reading the Torah portion.
Yeah, okay. Speaking of, Kenzie feels guilty about Tiffany being voted out. Not that she was voted out, but that she doesn't get credit. God damn it. See, I was trying to imagine what you were saying there, and I did the inflection wrong, and it didn't make any fucking sense. Not that she was voted out, but that she doesn't get credit for it. I mean, inversely, Maria feels great and is bragging all over the place, ready to roll the dice again. Venus whispers sweet nothings in Kenzie's ear. Idol fever breaks out at camp. Everyone but Liz is looking, and Venus finds it. Editing is crazy because sometimes Kenzie isn't wearing a buff, sometimes she's wearing the Nui Nui pink buff, and other times she's wearing a green buff. Anyway, she and Venus continue searching because Venus is keeping her mouth shut like a fly trap. A tentative counter alliance forms against either Maria or Q, whichever does not win immunity. Immunity is a ball handling challenge in which Charlie's superior grip strength will feature prominently. Ben and Maria hit themselves with balls as they fall on their heads.
Yeah.
We're treated to a wonderful montage of people dropping their second ball, but unfortunately never learn how much time has passed, though it seems reasonable to assume the challenge really was up for grabs. Ultimately, Maria wins when Venus's ball doinks off the rim as she pushed it too far, and she was totally going to win, but she was... Anyway. Pizza party! Maria picks Ben and then forces Venus, Liz, and Q to state their case. Then she takes an inordinate amount of time to finally pick Liz and Q to play rock, paper, scissors. Q wins, and holy shit, did Maria somehow manage to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. No one likes this. Venus talks herself into the firing line by telling Charlie, who at the time was honestly trying to work with her, she has some nebulous advantage. A mouse good enough to get her into trouble, but not good enough to get her out of it. Venus's only hope is her idol. But, like Icarus and literally everyone else who's had an idol this season, she flies too close to the sun on wings of wax and plummets into the sea.
Yeah, like some of them I don't blame for not playing it. Like Jem, I don't blame her for not playing it.
Yeah, Jem's that's a total surprise.
Tevin, I don't blame for not playing. Wait. Was he blindsided? I'm trying to remember. It was a couple episodes ago now. Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, he didn't have one. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I thought. Oh, he had an extra vote. That's what it was. Sorry.
Vote.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, in that case, I definitely don't blame Kevin for not using his idol because he didn't have one. But yeah, so far this is the first season where nobody has used their hidden idols.
Mm-hmm. It's great, and nobody's using Shot in the Dark anymore.
Didn't somebody use one early? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, there was one early.
I don't remember who it was, though.
Yeah, and it didn't do anything. Well, I don't think they can play Shot in the Dark. I think they lose that at like...
No, that's what he said. Last time was the last time they could use it. Yeah. Jeff said so.
Oh, well, okay, yeah. And Shot in the Dark, all right. They got to just admit, this is another thing that just isn't really doing much. Or maybe like make it a little bit, I don't know, put an extra, actually, no, here's what you do. Add 2 more slips of paper to the thing, one saying not safe and one saying safe. That way you haven't doubled the amount of, mathematically you haven't doubled it, but you have increased the odds pretty significantly. I don't know, just something to make it a little bit more attractive an option.
Yeah, I mean, it matters more in the tribal portion where you get more like landslide kind of votes. And you have to kind of play around the idea that they might play their Shot in the Dark and they might get it. Right. So it's not that it hasn't mattered. People have played around it. Like it forces you to think about splitting the vote kind of every time, no matter what, which forces you to do more interesting voting like structures. So it's not that it's done nothing to the game. It's just that it's literally only mattered once last
Yeah.
season when the one guy negated like 12 votes or something insane, and then got immediately voted out the very next episode. So it doesn't like, it doesn't do anything more for you than an idol would have in that instance, right? Like if you'd gotten an idol that day and played it, it would have the exact same effect.
Yeah.
The only, but it's not that it does nothing. It does create more interesting voting stuff early on in the game, which is useful because those votes don't matter as much and are not as interesting as the ones right now.
This is true. I would imagine it also helps in the first. It could potentially help in the very first group, like merged tribe council. Because that's yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, not a fan. It hasn't done much. But the challenge was a really interesting one because again, two people got doinked on the head by balls, and that was funny. I laughed because they weren't hurt. If they were seriously hurt, I'd be like, oh. But I honestly wonder why that doesn't happen more often. And then you could tell it was pretty balanced because even though Ben and Liz just could not get their get their ball across the balance beam.
Yeah.
Even they got the first one in, and then all right, maybe they got nowhere near getting the second one in, but they definitely had enough time that they could have done it. And then while you were reading it, Brian, you're right that Venus was off, but parallax exists. Like it's hard to tell from probably about 6 feet away, roughly, and a couple of feet up, if you're in the exact right spot or not. So I don't blame her for missing, but it is one of those things where like when you're that like I guess she couldn't see where Maria was, but you gotta just take the time, just be 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean that feels like. Oh, sorry, go Brian. You did.
Well, I don't know if she said she couldn't tell where Maria was, but Jeff was making it pretty clear how close Maria was.
And I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, it's just like in a football game when the one team like gets a turnover and scores a field goal on the final drive, and everybody nitpicks the turnover and nitpicks defensive plays on the last drive. But it's like you had the whole rest of the game where you could have gotten a touchdown and gotten ahead. Like, we could nitpick that one time it dropped, but Venus also had every other attempt before that to get it right. So it's like, it's lucky for production that it ended up being close.
Yeah, it's like I was playing 40K last week. That's why we recorded a little bit later a day later than usual. And I did bad. I lost. I knew I was going to lose, but like I actually got fairly close. I just needed to get a little bit lucky and roll a little bit hot dice a couple of times. And so, I could tell myself, oh yeah, if I just had a little bit more luck, I would have won. But really, no, like with the defensive plays thing, the better option is to not put yourself into a situation where you need to rely on luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Who else got fairly close?
No one.
Charlie was there early, and he sunk his first ball pretty early.
Yeah.
He couldn't. I didn't see him very much on the second one.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
This is when I was like, that looks fun. I would want to play this as like a backyard game.
Right?
Yeah. This would be a good drinking game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a good Dave and Buster's game with a drink. You're gonna be drinking at Dave and Buster's. This would be a good game for that. Yeah, I liked it. The physical challenge part of it, I could not think of the word. Like, that is a really good example of one where, all right, it didn't matter in this case, but you could see it mattering. Like, if somebody had a really steady hand, then they would not need that long to do the actual puzzle. And so maybe they could make a miraculous comeback.
Well, and
or if they got there first.
It's a learning curve too, right? So like if you get there early enough and you can catch on the learning curve fast enough, it would matter.
Yeah.
Those first couple runs where you're figuring out how it works, if you could leverage that enough, but none of these people were able to turn that like couple like 1 minute maybe early learning curve.
Yeah.
They couldn't.
Plus they had a pure evil cut in the middle of it. Or I'm sorry, not in the middle of it, in the very near the end. Like the snake's head there was 2 very small divots, one on each side, and there was just like a little narrow channel that you were theoretically supposed to drag your stick through. And like those little divots were so shallow that I don't know how anyone could see them from that far away.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we got to talk about the obvious, the elephant in the room, which was Maria's massive, colossal fuck up.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the discussion is which part was the fuck up and how did she fuck up exactly?
The way that she fucked up, in my personal opinion, is by trying to have both her cake and eat it too. Like, she wanted to take, she said, please respect me. I want to take people who are physically wasting. And then she didn't. Like, if she just straight up said, when your opponent is drowning, you don't throw them a lifesaver, you throw them an anchor. So I'm not taking Liz. Then, people be mad, but at least she would be internally consistent. But her idea was, I'm going to take, who should I take? Do I want to do this? It's like, dude, if you're not going to take Liz, just don't take Liz. That's fine. Just say who you're going to do it. If you want it to be Liz or Q. And then also, more importantly, being like, all right, guys, sell me on yourselves. It's like, fuck you. Like, all of them saw through that. Like, I really enjoyed listening to Venus afterwards. Just be like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm 100% with Venus. Being like, I'm not going to fucking beg for you. And at the moment, she was like, look, you're going to take me or not. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
It's like, great, perfect answer. And then Liz, I think, was just at the point where she's hungry enough to like, I will do it. And she's willing to go through the steps, but
Yeah.
she didn't have her heart in the begging. And then the rock, paper, scissors, like she was telling Q, like, please throw a rock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's okay. I don't blame Q. I don't know. It's also like, I'm frustrated. Like, I understand why he did what he did, and I probably would have done what he done too, but I still think it was a bad idea. Like, he should have just like, yeah, no, you go, or something like that. Because I ate yesterday. I'm still digesting it. Yeah. But also, it's like, I mean,
Oh, nobody's blaming him.
yeah.
It was funny though.
I
Even,
mean,
even like in the confessional, he was even like, "I should not be here. I should not have gotten this reward. No fucking way."
And I'm saying I ate like 23 pieces of pizza. I'm like, dude, I can't even eat 23 pieces of pizza now. Ugh.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you saw what they were eating, it was very thin. I couldn't eat like 23 pieces of like round table or something, but what they had, probably.
Yeah. It looked like a Fijian pizza place because it was called like Balu or something like that, and they didn't linger on it. So, but I'll guarantee you, if it was like a small Fijian place, it's going to be better than like say, round. No. I was going to say Pizza Hut, but everything's better than Pizza Hut. Yeah.
But yeah, where she went wrong was saying anything. Just pick who you're gonna fucking pick. Like, yeah, I agree with everyone. They were all saying like, "What? Don't say it's for this and then not do it." That was the problem. If she had just fucking went, I'm taking Ben and Q, it would have been perfectly fine. No one would have complained. Well, they might have complained, but not like they wouldn't have been all super pissed like they are now.
Not only not do it, but pick the absolute opposite of what you said you were gonna pick. Right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe she picks Venus instead of Liz. And you can be like, well, Venus also hasn't gotten on a reward. And, I mean, Liz is wasting away. But she did just get the rice, so she's got that. She's not as starving. There's like, it's not really, but okay, sure, if you can take Venus, right? Like, you can kind of shrug and say sure. But, like, to even put Q in the conversation immediately puts...
Yeah.
Like, what? The man just went on reward like literally 2 days ago and is probably the best fed and most fit person here.
Yeah, he had a big old burger.
It is the opposite of what you see. He didn't even eat the burger. He was too full.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, but I really didn't like the part when, during the tribal, when Venus called her out for it, and she was like, "No, it was a really hard decision." No, it wasn't. It was a hard decision because you were trying to figure out how to make it sound like you were being the good guy when you absolutely meant to take Q the whole time.
That's what she was standing there thinking. Jeff was like, I've never seen somebody think this long about who to choose. Like, she's not picking.
Yeah.
She's not thinking about who to choose. She's thinking about how can she get away with taking Q.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's the issue for me is that if you're gonna do something, just own it. You know what I mean? Like, don't try and have both ways. Like, say I'm gonna make a good decision for my game and pick Q or whatever. Picking Ben, I mean, dude needs some food too. Ben is in not great shape, and you saw him basically cry when he got to eat or like when he saw he was going to eat, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's a cry that is an unforced, non-emotionally manipulative cry. That is a cry of, oh, thank God, I finally get to have real food for a change. But yeah, the way she was like defending it at tribal council, like, no, I didn't do that, whatever. That said, I don't think this costs her the game. I think if she gets to the end, she's won, and that's that. So they got to get rid of her, but they're running out of opportunities.
I think it cost her the game in a different way. I think the biggest mistake she made in picking who she picked was making it so obvious how much she valued Q as an ally and wanted Q to be there. Right? Like, she's taking, because her and Charlie have been allies for a long time, and she's taking her alliance with Charlie for granted, knowing that she can leave him at camp to do the spying there and not take him on this reward, and their relationship won't be significantly damaged. Right? And that's true. But to then so blatantly choose to take Q on a reward that everybody recognizes he doesn't deserve to go on. Not from a strategy perspective,
including
not from
him.
a social perspective, not from an eating. There's no perspective in which Q deserved to go on this reward except to have private time to talk with Maria and try to bring Ben in what they're doing. That's the only reason to do it. There's no world in which he deserves that. And I think the misplay here is that sends a really dangerous message to Charlie. Like 2 episodes ago, Q was the guy laying on the beach with not a friend in the world. And Maria was like, fuck it, man. I'm going to throw him a lifeline and just make him a number, make him a vote in my pocket. But like, he is now clearly more than just a vote in your pocket. He's clearly a part of, like, a major piece in your strategy. And that's threatening to Charlie. And Charlie acknowledges, and we said this last episode, like, between Charlie and Maria, one of them's got to get the other out. And I know Maria's got the pocket ammunition, but everybody wants to get rid of Q. And so Charlie's in the power position here, and she's exposed herself as really valuing Q. Like, that's the problem with this move, is to put your intentions and your feeling about Q at that high of a level so openly.
You know what's funny, though? You know that if he hadn't gone, he would have been like, she made a big mistake. Just like, even though he went, he said she made a big mistake.
She should have brought me. She left me here at the camp, and now I'm hustling.
I'm going to start working on people, get rid of her number one.
Yep.
So maybe for Charlie's game, maybe it was best that she went or she took him. But who knows? I mean, unless Maria is out somehow, yeah.
I don't know. Everybody's made it very clear they're not going to listen to anything Q says.
Yeah. I did find it interesting today. Somebody said, I think it was while they were out idle hunting or something, that like Maria and Q are the big threats, and that if either one of them gets to the end, they have a great chance at winning. And
I don't think Q will.
Somebody said that almost an offhand way, and I was like, either there's shit happening that we really don't see, or we are seriously misunderstanding the social context of the game. If for somebody to say that Q is a threat to win the game, that is so different from what we are seeing as viewers.
Has Q won immunity?
Yes.
He did? Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, hey, once is all it takes.
The last time. That's right. Tiffany's gone.
Yeah, that's right.
Charlie
won. Charlie won with his grip.
Charlie won. Yeah. All right. Well, the time before that, I don't remember. He won one.
Yeah, at some point in the past, he won. Okay. I just wasn't certain because it's like, it's hard to remember who won immunity every week. I guess I could always just look on the Wikipedia, but it's good.
Q won reward 2 episodes ago, but that's it. He actually has not won immunity.
Oh, interesting. That's why he's gotten so many votes and given so many points away.
Yeah, he's not won immunity.
Yeah.
Uh,
Man, I hated the end of this episode for
yeah.
so many reasons. First off, damn it, Venus screwed me by not playing her damn idol. Venus screwed me more by not playing her damn idol because Q's still there. And she screwed me more. Andy's guaranteed to win now. There's no chance anybody's taking that from you, Andy.
I don't know.
Okay, unless Charlie wins everything that's left, I have no
Yeah.
fucking chance in hell of catching up.
Charlie's doing really well in rewards, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's possible. But, and god damn was that dumb of everybody else not to vote out Q. Again, no one wants to work with Venus. Why do you think you need to get her out? There's nothing to be afraid of there. No one wants her. Whereas they know goddamn well that Maria is using Q. So why are they letting her do it?
Yeah, I can kind of see now. I need to be clear that you're right, and getting rid of her was the wrong move. But I can see the reasoning behind it because you could tell that they were just kind of, at least Charlie and Kenzie, were just kind of tired of her bullshit. You know what I mean? Because she would always be like, as soon as I tell you something, or I'm sorry, as soon as I tell her something, she's immediately going to go tell that person that I told. You know what I mean? And it's like, look, we need
that's what I mean. Just stop telling her stuff. That's simple fucking fix.
Okay. Yes, but there's 7 people left, and if you want to make a vote happen, you need to wrangle somebody in. And a person like Venus is dangerous in that situation because you need more than half of the tribe to be in on the vote. And even if you're not including Venus, that means you have to sway somebody over. And the odds that Venus is not going to hear about it from any of them is pretty low. And so it makes whatever you're trying to do a lot harder because there's a wild card. And granted, she's not going to win. And nobody wants to work with her, blah, blah, blah. All those things are true. But just her presence there makes it harder to pull off a secret, to pull off a move without the other team knowing. Just her being there makes it harder. And so, yes, she'd be a great GOAT if you can get her to the end, but managing to get her to the end in a way that makes her not blow up, because she's a very confident, assertive woman, which is awesome, but makes it difficult.
Yeah, it's
right?
difficult to work
in
with
that context.
her. If she had more discretion, then she would be a better ally. Because like right now, the problem is if you told her, hey, we're going to vote out Q, we already have the 4, don't worry about it, she would still be the type to go around and talk to everyone like, okay, we're getting out Q, right? Like, she would want to know who the other 3 people were. It's like, no, sometimes you need to just let go and let go and let God. But whatever, that's fine. Like, here's my question for you, because you read the Reddit and I refuse to. So I like Venus, and part of the reason I like Venus is I get the feeling that Survivor fans hate Venus, and that brings me joy. So Andy, because you actually read the Reddit, is that generally the read? Do people hate her?
No, people don't hate Venus.
Damn. Okay. Well, I still like her, but I would like her a lot more if it meant that other people were mad.
I think there's 2 things here, right? Venus is attractive, so fewer people are going to dislike her just because she's an attractive lady. But then, like, you know, people, especially in this show, people like the ones who aren't just like going along with the ride. And she's an agent of change in the game, and I don't know, most people like that.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess I'm with the majority.
I don't know. I like that she was worse at the beginning. She stopped snapping at people. Yeah. That helps a lot. Now, when she's like mad at somebody, she just laughs it off.
Yeah, I really think that is partly because, you know, early game you're trying to establish your place in the tribe and everything, and if you just, you know, she just couldn't do that. And if she couldn't do it on the first day, then I don't know, it gets in your head. But after about 20 days, it's just like, all right, well, I deserve to be here. Fortunately, she got cocky. And, oh boy, yeah. Like,
But
I really feel like the lesson of the season is get idle, play idle. Don't save idle.
No,
Yeah.
her mistake was not following her own advice. She got the idol and she's like, I'm
Yeah.
going to tell fucking nobody about it. And she couldn't help herself. She was like, Charlie, I got a little something up my sleeve. Don't worry about it, though. I'm not going to tell you anymore. You know, maybe I'll tell you tomorrow morning. But right now.
I mean, if you're gonna say it like that, at least make it, sound like an ultimatum. Like, if you do what I want today, then I'll tell you. That seems like a reasonable thing
Well,
to
that's not
say.
ultimatum. That's a deal. Be like, I have
Well,
something.
that's what I mean.
Like, I have something. I will bring you in on it. So it sounds like a scheme or a setup or an alliance that he might not know about. It doesn't have to be, but I'll bring you in on it tomorrow if we can vote together. Like we got to build trust, Charlie.
Or,
And I don't know if I trust you with this information yet. Let's build this trust tonight. I'll bring you in tomorrow.
or also, look, there's 7 people. There's not very. She could only have played it one more time. It's on there to 5, which means that she had, after tonight, she had one last opportunity to play it. Which means if you win immunity, like, you could play it on someone and hope for the best, but like, just tell him, like, look, we got it. This is a lock. I have the idol. I'm playing it right now, and my goal is just to win immunity on the next one. Like that, because like at that point he was just honestly and genuinely trying to work with her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that means, maybe in the next week he turns on her, betrays her, or whatever. But especially in the season, like you were talking about, Brian, her complaint was people aren't even trying to work with me. The only person who's trying to work with me just got medically evacuated. So I'm at square one. She's now getting people approaching her to try and work with her. And she's like, I have a nebulous advantage. It could be anything. You'll find out soon. Just tell them. Like that, you got trust. It takes trust to get trust.
Well, just,
I mean, that was her point,
don't say
right?
anything.
It takes trust to get trust.
If she hadn't said anything, she would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I honestly think
she scared the shit out of Charlie saying that.
Exactly. And Charlie was, and it goes back to what we were saying before, right? Just like, we're at the point in the game where players have to be predictable. Either they're predictably stabbing and you're in the back, or they're predictably with you, or predictably against you. You want the players to be predictable. And Charlie's just like, I come to her genuinely trying to work with her, and I don't know what the fuck she's doing.
Yeah.
Like, she's just this totally unpredictable player, comes at him with something else entirely separate, won't bring him in on it. Like, you can't move forward with that. So I think that's just what, like, like, Q, for as not awesome as he's been for the game this season, like, he is what it is, and Charlie knows what it is. That's nice and predictable, and Charlie can work with it and around it. Done.
It's funny. We were talking on Talkadoo about, we did an episode about traits to having people, and one of the traits that I said was the most underrated is integrity, because if someone is bad, integrity / consistency, whatever you want to call it, but like, if someone is bad, right? Like, badness isn't a type of integrity, so long as you can, that it's happening, right? Like, if Venus backstabs you, what were you doing trusting her in the first place? She has proven herself out. She has acted with integrity this entire game, except for real early on when she was painting herself to be a victim, even though, thankfully, because we have the 360 panopticon of editing, and we can see people's thoughts, like other people's thoughts, and they were just kind of like, man, what is she doing? Where she didn't see that they were being put off by her, but whatever. Beyond that, she has been very reliable. Like they said, if you tell her something, she's going to tell everyone else. You just got, that's going to happen. And at a certain point, you just can't deal with that anymore. But I mean, that's the thing. It's like, that is integrity of a sort. Don't be a complete chaos goblin, and people will be fine with you. Which is sad, because I love the chaos goblins. They are my favorites.
You know where that's a totally ridiculous argument to make about Venus? Did you watch this last episode? Literally everyone is telling everyone everything.
Yeah, that's true too.
No one is keeping their mouth shut about anything.
No, they didn't tell Q that he was the one who was going.
Q knows
Because
it
he
already.
wasn't. That's
Q already knows he's a target every single time.
Yeah, that's
he
fair.
wasn't the one. He didn't get a single vote. Well, he got one because.
Okay,
Venus.
but it could.
But
It
he
just
did-
as easily could have been like it was Charlie's choice, and Charlie made the choice after talking to Venus. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they also know they don't need to bother with him because for the reason, like the reason Liz hates him, I mean, besides
Yeah.
the food thing, is because, she's like, yeah, he's like, I don't care if I get voted out. He's like, well, fuck you, I do care.
yeah,
Yeah.
I will say your talk about integrity and predictability reminded me of Quark in Deep Space Nine, where he gives a big old speech about greed and why greed is great because you can always trust a Ferengi to do whatever interests them the most for profit. And like that's
Yeah.
much better than humans who do fucking random things.
Yeah. Like, you remember
Humans.
season one of this game, way back in Borneo, there was a guy who just did not want to make anyone mad, so his voting scheme was, I'm going to vote alphabetically. Your
Yeah.
name is first, so I'm voting for you because your name starts with an A. And then the the alliance of 4 people were kind of like, oh, well, he's going to vote for this A person, and that A person isn't in our alliance, so why don't we all vote for that A person too? And then they're gone. And it was like, oh, yeah. Because people will do completely silly things sometimes, and they'll convince themselves that it's the right thing to do, when it's just like, no, just be consistent. Just act consistently with your actions.
Yeah, like in the first episode when Cody was like, oh, you can't trust salespeople. And then like 3 other people said it. Like, what do you mean? That hasn't been a thing, has it?
Well, like this game, this season, I may sound like I'm coming down on it. I'm not. It's not a bad season. It's a mid to slightly, and mid is not a bad. It's like a C+ season, which may sound bad, but hey, C's get degrees. So
There's
what I'm
47
saying
of
though,
them. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, there's 47 of them.
yeah. Not every season. Yeah, exactly. Not every season can be the best season. That's fine. You want to get those.
We've had worse seasons than this in the new era alone. It's fine.
Oh yeah. Anyway, the point that I was trying to make though is that you guys made me lose my train of thought. You motherfuckers.
You're welcome.
That was my plan all along.
I just did a fist bump in the air.
I remember what it is. Screw you. I remember what it is. The theme of the season and why I like it is because everyone that has gone out has been very confident in their gameplay. Maybe not everyone, but like 3 people have idols that were voted out with them in their pocket. One of them was a 4th one was evacuated. That's not the same thing. But 3 people who are like, I'm not going home tonight. I'm going to play it later. And they go home. And even one Hunter, I love you, man, but he was like, they are all coming for me. I know it. But for some reason, I feel good enough that I'm not going to play it. And then...
But he didn't even feel good about it. He just trusted
Yeah.
somebody that he shouldn't have trusted.
So, so I mean...
Well, he trusted the person that made the exact same mistake when she had
that's
one.
the problem.
Overconfidence and overthinking has been the theme of this season. Like, people talk themselves out of doing a smart thing all the time. Like, even going back to Maria, she talked herself out of just picking the easy solution. You know what I mean? Like, and then decided I want to have a chance at taking Q because whatever. So instead of just picking him and defending it, I'm going to make them play paper, rock, scissors for it. Like, I'm going to absolve myself that way. It's like, no. You seriously overthought this. You need to just go with it more.
Yeah.
Like, at least Ben is, now I think about it, he's the one person who has just gone with the flow the entire time. Now, unfortunately, because of that, he's not going to win. But he has just kind of, also he hasn't he's been a very entertaining player and a player that I actually kind of would like to see again if he decides to play in his next game. But his attitude has been great, but he's just kind of gone with the flow, and that's why he's going to lose or come in second, third. But he's gone with it.
I think he just ran out of food. He's at the point. I think he doesn't have enough energy to strategize and play.
Now he's powered by pizza.
I know, but like the last episode or maybe two, he's just been so like compare his visible energy level around camp to earlier in the season when he was doing like the song battle with Charlie.
That's true. Yeah.
Like he's not faring well food wise.
You can already tell that there's been a change in him after the pizza, because the first thing he does when he gets back is says, "Man, I feel like a Ninja Turtle." I'm like, "Yes, you do." Yeah. Benatello.
So hopefully we'll be back in action the next couple episodes. I would like to see him and Charlie work together to get some people out.
Yeah, that would be great.
Best line of the episode. Here's the Taylor Swift's honest truth.
Yeah.
I love his commitment.
Great. Like, okay, I know you explained to me when he jumped from the thing and shouted Taylor Swift, like that was something that they told him to say. But given the context here, where he's just out and talking to Kenzie on the trail, that's just some.
Yeah, he's just embracing what he is, and that's fine. I like that. I don't care.
Good job, Blue's Clues.
You know what this episode made me realize?
Huh.
Tell me.
There haven't really been alliances for several seasons.
Yeah, it's been dyads.
Yeah, or just, people are like, hey, want to do this? And everyone's like, okay, we'll do that. I mean, that was the problem that Q had with the 6. He was trying to make one, and everyone's like, nah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. His other problem was he wanted to run it so when Tim was like, okay, we should vote out Hunter, instead of saying, well, we're not going to vote out Hunter, who do you want to vote out instead? He's just like, okay, and then voted out Tim. And then it's like that destroyed the alliance right there. Like, he didn't work with them. He just was like, all right, we're all together now, right? Like,
anytime somebody even thought about mentioning a name from somebody else in his alliance, they were just like, well, now I'm going to open you. Like, no, man, you got to let them talk through their options.
Yeah. So, whatever.
Well, yeah, and it was because he picked 5 other people, and he's like, "You're in my alliance whether you like it or not." Like,
yeah. Well, like I said at the time, Maria was Tim's best friend, but Tim was not Maria's best friend. Mm-hmm. Everyone was Q's ally, but Q was not their ally.
The last thing I want to talk about with this episode is Liz just so not giving a fuck anymore, and I am here. I don't know about all this like mind body stuff, like that's where her allergy. I don't know about that. I don't know how true that is, but like I liked when she was talking shit about Q, and I remember she was talking to. She was like, Liz over there, and Liz is like, I don't give a fuck. He can hear me.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. I was like,
honestly,
I'm so here for Liz's transformation.
That reminds me of way back in Gabon when Crystal went to war with Randy, and when she cast her vote, she just shouted like, "I'm voting for Randy!"
Yeah.
And they had Randy's reaction of just like, okay. Yeah. I like when someone's just like, nah, I don't give a shit anymore. And also, like, well,
I wish Liz would play the game though, because
like,
no matter how many times she's like, I fucking hate Q's guts, I want him out of here. Somebody suggests something else, and she just goes along with it.
Yeah. Well, like,
you gotta make your own decisions, there, lady.
Yeah, but in fairness, in deference to her, if everyone has decided no, we're voting out Venus, then it's like, okay, well, what happens? You get 2 votes for Q, and then people on the jury are going to be like, oh, she was on the outside.
That's my point. You don't just say they decided that. You convince them to do what you want. That's how it works.
Unless you're Venus, and then they go for you. I'm trying to remember who was the one that voted for. There was one other person who voted for someone else.
Ben voted for Kenzie.
It was in case she had an idol. Was the
yeah okay. Yeah. Oh God. Well, yeah, that's annoying too, because if she had the idol, then it would be a revote between Q and Kenzie. I'm sure they would have voted for Q. But it's like, you don't need to do that. Just vote for Q.
Right.
Yeah, and I
If
don't, I
there's
don't understand why Kenzie was the fallback. I guess Ben is that much in the pocket of Maria.
yeah. Oh well. Oh well. Okay. Well, then let's go on to fantasy.
You got anything else, Brian?
I don't get why Mary is so obsessed with Q. You had a perfectly good ally with Charlie. I don't know why she thinks Q is so much better.
Well, I think it's because, like Andy said, she's taken Charlie for granted. So now she's thinking, okay, cool. I have 2 votes now. Well, and mine. So Q, Charlie, and me. That's 3 right there. And so yeah. And Charlie will never ever defy me.
And
That's my
Yeah.
me put my thought process into her.
I think
I
it's
think
because
it's true, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He's talking like maybe, I'm going to turn on her, but he never does it.
and
Yeah.
I think Q needs more courting, right? Like if you're Maria and you're looking at Charlie and Q, like Charlie is strategic and rational, and you know if you make a strategic and rational discussion with him, you can sway him or not based on what he views as his best move, right? And so
No.
you don't need to butter Charlie up. Charlie is just a good player who's here for the game and knows what he's doing. But Q is the kind of person who has shown that he wants to be in control. And so you have to bribe him out of that control.
Q is way more high maintenance.
Exactly. So I think that's all it is she's taking Charlie for granted, but also like Q needs it, or Q's going to try and do his own random ass shit again. Speaking of random ass shit, how about fantasy?
Yep, and you'll be happy to know that I wrote down the name of this episode.
Yeah.
Usually we talk, and while we were recording, I'm like, "Ooh, that'd be a good name for an episode." And then a couple days later, when I'm editing it, I'm like, "I have no idea what this one's going to be called," so I have written it down this time. Anyway, fantasy.
We did not resolve our not here to make friends Deadpool yet. Nick has Ben and Brian has Charlie, so there's still time for that. But I had Venus, and I thought Venus would be the perfect person to say I'm not here to make friends, but it didn't happen.
I wouldn't put it past her to say it during Final Tribal.
Okay, I'm gonna unhighlight that. I'm gonna keep myself back in that. I'm going to resolve the Shart in the Dark bet. We had an over-under set at 2.5 this season. I think 1.5 is the sweet spot. I think we've learned that from previous seasons. I had the over. Brian and Nick had the under, so I'm going to add those points right now. 3 for Brian, 3 for Nick. Here we go. Speaking of points, if you want to see what the scoring is, you can go to witoutplayoutcast.com. On the left, if you click the button that says Fantasy, you can find all of our scoring, our starting tribes, and the bets for the season. Nick, you came in the week in last with 54 points, and you have Liz, who's still in the game, and Tevin and Spicy Jeff, who are just there in case they say an episode title. And unfortunately, Liz did nothing more than survive, so that is 1 point for you. So that's 1 onto your 54, giving you 55, plus 3 from the bet will give you 58. I don't know why I did it like that. I could just see more buttons.
You can just stop recording my my points. It's fine.
You never know. Liz could go on a fucking tear. Brian, you came in the week in second place with 65 points. You had Venus, Charlie, and Kenzie. Venus got you 0 points because she was eliminated. Charlie got you 1 point because he survived. Kenzie got you 3 because she said the episode title and survived to vote at Tribal. So that is 4 onto your 65, giving you 69, which would be nice, except you got those 3 points from the bet. So that's 72 for you. Man, Venus would have been so many points for you. Let's see. 2 for finding the idol, 1 for playing the idol, and then she would have survived.
5 votes.
And 5 votes. So that would have been 9 points just from Venus.
Yeah,
and
we would be so close right now because you would have lost Q.
Yeah, I'd be -4. You'd be +9. Like, yeah, dude. It would have been. You would be right there with me. I think you might even be winning at that point.
Yeah, no, I'd be 1 point behind you. That's all.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
God damn it, Pete.
If only. It's like the second time that happened this season. I came the week in first place, 74 points. I had Q, Ben, and Maria. Ben got me 3 points because he went on reward. Q got me 4 points because he ran on reward and survived the vote. And this is the one I want to talk to you about. Maria, I'm putting 5 points down because she won the challenge and got reward, which in previous seasons we've scored it like this, but sometimes we do it. Sometimes I think we need to decide once and for all. The reward points originally were for if you win a reward challenge. But we expanded that because more points is fun to say if you get reward, then you get the points. And so that way it's also the people who go. That's why Q and Ben get points this week because they went and ate pizza. But if it's not tied to the challenge win, then you still get the points for winning the immunity challenge. Like, we started the scoring system when it was rare for the reward and immunity to be in a single challenge.
I say keep it the way it is. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks that your whole fucking team is the one that went on reward.
I know.
But
Yeah, sorry. So then that's 5 for Maria because she won the challenge, ate the pizza, and survived tribal. So that's 12 onto my 74, giving me 86. So I got 86. Brian, you got 72. Nikki got 58. Brian, who are you going to replace Venus with from the jury?
Oh. Dude, I don't know.
I don't know who's on the
Soda.
Jury. Sodasia. All right, Sodasia. All right. Yeah, I mean, unless I lose,
But I could have
like,
just kept her, I guess. But
if like Q goes next week, or Ben, I don't know. Ben hasn't been getting me a lot of points. Just Q, man. If Q actually goes next week, then you might have a chance, Brian.
see, but I feel like you're. Well, let's say if Charlie could potentially win, there's only 2 episodes left. Charlie could win, everything that's left.
Yeah.
That would do it. Plus, yeah, Ben and Q aren't going to get you any points. So
No, they're gonna get me vote survival points, and that's gonna be about it. Q might.
yeah,
win a
they're not going to
challenge
get any.
because-
Neither of them is going to get any votes at the end if
No.
they make it to the end.
No. I'm pretty much like in terms of getting points from a winner. I'm banking on Maria getting there and making a good case.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben and Q.
Well, I think if Maria gets there, she's going to win. That's not a question.
Ben's got a shot. If Ben finds an idol, pulls off a good move, now that he's got some pizza energy and he's a Ninja Turtle, like Ben is very, very likable by everybody on the
Okay, but he hasn't done anything the entire. Just like Liz. Liz hasn't done anything the entire game either.
It's like I said last episode. Like in the new era Survivor, you just have to be really likable and have done a move within the last few weeks of the season. So like,
yeah, he hasn't done that yet.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. If he finds the idol next episode when they put it back in play, if he happens to stumble across it, or he gets a timely immunity and does something with it, like he has a chance. And his he has the likability, he just needs one more piece, and if that one more piece is finding the idol and doing a good play with it, or getting immunity and handing it off to blah blah blah, or if he can get one solid move in there, that's all it's going to take to make him a threat at the end. I don't know if that's the way Survivor should be, blah 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 blah. That's just the way the new era is. Likable and do a big move.
I don't mind that likability is rewarded. I mean, it's okay that there's multiple paths other than just being a cold calculated whatever,
Yeah.
But whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
That's because you're not likable.
No,
I nailed it
whatever.
on the
Everyone
head.
loves me. No, like that's like a fucking
Brian.
like you can win the game just for being invited is basically what you're saying. That's a little ridiculous. You can sit there and just hang out for 26 days or 29, whatever the fuck it is, and you win the game. That's a little ridiculous.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. If you just are that nice or whatever, then they should know you're a threat and get rid of you.
Yeah.
But they didn't, so you flew under the radar. Congrats, my brother.
And knowing that likability is the biggest threat in the game, right? Like, look, last season you had D and Austin. Austin was a threat because he was really fucking likable. But he lost because he was clearly in D's pocket, right? The season before that, Jam won because he was clearly very likable, right? And he had done a move, maybe 2. The season before that was Gabler, who didn't even do a move, just was likable. The season before,
I still don't know what you're getting with the like. Nobody liked Gabler. I don't know why you keep saying that.
nobody,
one liked him.
Nobody watching liked Gabler, and a lot of people had problems working with Gabler. But
Nobody in the game liked him either. I don't know.
Exit interviews from the jury said that they voted for Gabler because of the people who were there. He was just always nice and making that personal connection. That's the reason that the jury.
Okay, see, that is really shitty editing because throughout the entire season, all they were doing is talking about how much they fucking hate Gabler.
I don't disagree. The season before that was Marianne and Mike Turner. Mike Turner was the one that they expected to be locked to win because he was just really fucking likable. And then Marianne won because she was really fucking likable and had done an awesome move in the last few days of the season.
Yeah, well, she actually did stuff. That's my
before
point.
that,
That's
Erica.
fine.
Erica won because she was just fucking likable. Like, the whole new era is just likability plus do one more move than the next likable person on the final tribal. Like, it's not a high bar, but you have to make it there. And like the strategic players do an excellent job of picking themselves off. Like, that's the problem. If you're really strategic, like, you take out your other strategic person, then you get taken out, right? Like, Tevin votes out Soda because he needs to get rid of his ally, and then Tevin's gone. That's the way it's going in the new era. Like, I don't know. That's what the game is right now. You just be likable and you do a big move. That's all you need. So I mean, Ben totally has a chance.
That's my point. You keep saying and make a big move. That's what makes it okay. I don't like that you can do absolutely fucking nothing and win the game.
I mean, there hasn't been as many of those. That's why people hate season 43. I don't think Gabler did a big move. Yeah. But like Marianne, yeah, Jam Jam was definitely pulling some stuff. D pulled some stuff for sure. Those people were likable and did a move or two, at least.
Well, D was definitely had a knife to some throats.
Yeah, D was I mean, I say that, but D was a strong.
She had big toes. So.
And D had the most divided jury in a long time too. She won 5-3.
Yep.
So it's not nothing.
Yeah. Well, speaking of not nothing, that's going to be it for this episode because we did more than nothing. Get it? Anyway, we will talk to everyone next week when. Ooh, that'll be an interesting one because I won't be here for it. There was zero way for me to be here for it. So thankfully, it's not the last episode of the season. It's the penultimate episode. Haha. Yeah, I won't actually even be around to edit it, so you'll have to do that too. Sorry, it's my mom's 80th birthday. That's more important than you guys. Haha!
All right.
Anyway, yeah, we will see everyone next week, but goodbye.
Okay.
I said it wrong, but it's fine. No one's going to know. No one's going
to listen.
That's fine.
Yeah, that one. That's the.
That's why.
That's the real trick.
It's our little secret.
It's our little secret that we have a podcast.
Pretty much. All right. Well, my little secret is that it's 9:44, so I'm gonna go to bed. So latesers.
Peace out.
He already left. You don't have to worry. Think about him.
No, I didn't. I said it before he left.